Hey, I'm Danielle, a techie serial entrepreneur.
I'm Cicely, a health tech nurse.
I'm Priscilla, and I'm an award-winning creative.
Welcome to the More Than Graphics podcast, a virtual safe space for women and minorities in the tech and creative industries. Together, we're that tribe. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the More Than Graphics podcast. Okay, so we're all in here. I'm really excited about this episode. If you guys have not listened to one previously before, please check it out at mtgthepodcast.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Danielle, your techie retro pixel sorceress who's always pushing marketing and creative tech for minority entrepreneurs.
And I'm Cicely. I am the registered nurse who works in tech and loves utilizing innovations, telehealth, and cultural awareness to better help the patients that I serve.
And I'm Priscilla, a creative who mixes old school wisdom with modern inspiration and helps others find gratitude in a world full of screens.
Y'all, I'm so excited. Today's episode topic is uplift. Ladies, I kind of want to play a game because we think about different things when we think of uplift, right? I kind of want to see if we can come up with as many words in the word uplift in 30 seconds. Do you think we could do it? Like, I'm going to put a timer on right now. Oh my gosh.
We can do it.
I'll start with me and then we'll keep going. Okay. Lift.
Tulip.
Empower.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Words in the word uplift.
Oh my gosh. See, you didn't say that. Skip. Just skip because nope, not going to happen.
Okay. You could have said up.
Flip.
Ooh, you already did tulip. Fit.
Pit.
Kill.
Ooh.
Lit.
That's a good one.
I'm tough, as in the Ultimate Fighter.
Oh man. Ooh. I got nothing.
Oh, man. We did pretty good, though. I mean, that was 15 seconds, y'all. We did really good. Okay. So my kind of segue into that is uplift has different meaning for everybody, right? Different connotation. And so our guest today is really someone who kind of embodies, right, a little bit of this in different areas and different spaces. But we know her as just a good old gal, part of the Women in Podcasters group, not only as a member, but let's talk about founding member. This is thousands of women in one place talking about podcasting. And this honestly has fueled my personal journey in how I want to choose to show up behind the mic, in front of the mic, and in the world. So, Cicely, would you like to introduce our guest?
Perfect. So today's guest is Jennifer Henczel, a podcaster, author, and founder of the Inspiring Innovators Club and the Women's Podcasters Network show and awards. Jennifer's mission is to lift women's voices and stories globally. Jennifer Henczel is known for her ability to build thriving, supportive, and collaborative communities, and she teaches others how to do the same. She loves creating opportunities for women to connect and collaborate in meaningful ways. Using her proprietary Rise, Reach, Results roadmap, Jennifer provides tools, templates, and training to help her members generate more impact and influence. Jennifer speaks about her mindset, messaging, and monetization strategies for building communities, leveraging content, and turning expertise into multiple streams of income. Jennifer is an award-winning leader and has won or been nominated for a number of awards. Most recently, she won Business Podcast of the Year Award from the Podcast Awards for her Women in Podcasting show and the Innovator of the Year Award at the Quill Podcast Awards. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Like, Jennifer, y'all don't know. She's the GOAT. You just don't know. So I'm so excited that you're here, able to share your story, your personal insights. First thing first, like we talk about uplift. What does that mean to you? What does it mean to uplift?
Oh, I love that you asked that. I love your whole vibe, by the way. I love everything. I loved your opening. I love your guys' whole situation. This is amazing. I am loving this. I love hanging out with you guys so far. So this is great.
Thanks.
Thank you for asking that. My mission is to elevate women's voices globally and in the podcasting industry. And so that's why I created the network and the show and the awards, which you guys are part of. And I hope everyone votes for you.
Thank you. I was going to mention that much later, but I'm so glad that you mentioned it first. We are up for Best Society and Culture podcast for Women in Podcasting Awards. We are super excited to be a part of it. This is our second year being nominated in this category. We are very excited about the things that come from it, not just the fact that we're part of the nomination process, but all the amazing nominees that we get to be a part of. It's such a cool experience. Yeah, I'm sorry. Fangirling. I just love it. Don't mind me. I'll just blush. So we talk about this title, right, of Uplift, and that just kind of beautifully aligns with your mission, right, to lift other women's voices up. Can you share a specific moment or story that truly ignited this passion within you? Was there a before and after that made you realize the power of uplifting others?
Yeah, there's a definite moment, and I'd love to share that with you. So for many years, my business was a side gig, and I would work full time and I'd just have my business on the side. And then I was at work one day at my full-time job, and I got the worst phone call that anyone could ever receive. And it was my husband's boss. And he said, "You have to come to the hospital right away because your husband's been in a very bad accident." And I got there, and I didn't even recognize him at first. He had been crushed by thousands of pounds of wood at work. And he survived, thankfully. He's left with a number of injuries. But, even though that really blew up our life, it kind of ignited something in us as well. And one of the things was I had been burning myself out. I was working 12, 14, 16 hours a day. I was in competitive hustle mode, right? And it made me really slow down and take a look at life. And I was in hustle mode, but for everything except for what I wanted to do in life, right? I was putting my passions and my purpose on the back burner. And so it made me bring those things forward. And one of the things that really impacted me during that time was the communities my husband was involved in before his accident. He was a volunteer football coach, for example, and a football announcer in our town. And so he had football kids and coaches come around and say, "We're here for you, Coach Paul," right? And that was so uplifting to me. And it made me realize that I had become so isolated in the entrepreneur and business world. And so, you know what I did? I invited a bunch of business owners to lunch. I wasn't very organized with it at the time. And I just said, "Who wants to join me for lunch?" kind of thing. I had 50 business owners show up. And so, I found out I was not the only one feeling isolated at that time. And so that one meeting turned into a group, and the group turned into a network. And I had multiple chapters in different cities around my region. And I just came to realize how important community is. And, there are people out there who want to help you, but you need to show up to be helped. And you have to build your own circle of support around you. And so that's really what brought me from that competitive hustle mode into a more community building, community minded mindset. And now I love connecting with people. To me, connecting with others like you guys, this is just such a beautiful thing for me. I really, really find this precious, meeting with you, because to me, that's the essence of life.
Ma'am, that just gets me in all the feels. Okay. One thing I really took away from just that point was that you have to show up to be helped. That is such a crucial and vital statement, I feel like, for any of us who are considered introverts, who are considered extroverts, and all the things in between. It's so important that we not only have to show up to be helped, but that is a version of showing up for ourselves. And I do feel like that's a huge cornerstone into what this podcast has always been about. It's been about creating such an intimate space where we can feel encouraged and educated in areas in order to show up for ourselves and show up for others. But to be helped, man, I'm sure it felt amazing to see that 50 people had shown up to that event to say, "Yeah, me too," right? Like, I'm down with that. I see it. Yeah, I just feel like that's a really important thing to point out. And thank you for sharing that.
Oh, well, thank you for the space to share it. And this is the joy of podcasting, isn't it? To be able to share our stories. And we found that when we told our story, so my husband, I was able to use my platform then that I created to help my husband go from an injured mail worker to an international speaker. And he wrote a book about our story. And he did a TED Talk called Silencing Stigma Through Storytelling. And we found that when we told our story, it encouraged other people to tell their story. And isn't that just the beauty and the core of podcasting?
Yes, absolutely. And I did share also. I will share it a little bit later. There was a testimonial on one of your, I think, on your book, and I love the fact that they originally went back to the original points of your storytelling, and I think that was such a true testament to you can tell a story a million times and still affect just as many people the first and the 50th and the millionth time that you say it. So I think that's just a very cool ripple effect that I feel like you continually have throughout your marketing, to the way that you present yourself, and the way that you continue to share your story.
Oh, thank you so much. That means so much to me. And because it was that little football community that inspired me in the beginning, I like the saying, drop the hustle and join the huddle, because we need to be part of a community. So even if you don't want to start your own community, you need to become a part of a community. Just get out there. Part of the struggle is just to get out of your house, leave your house. And even if it's online meetings, that's great too. But connect with other people, because it's so important, not only to the well-being of our businesses, but to the well-being of us as people.
Yeah. When I was listening to earlier, when I was listening to one of the YouTubes, I was feeling like I was telling this like Cicely and stuff. I felt like I was at church because you were saying things and I kept saying, yes, yes. As I'm cleaning up and listening, I'm like, yes, 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 yes. And because I feel I like agree with so much that you say. But one thing I'm wondering is, like, you're talking about people just going out on there, but there are people that feel like small, like they don't feel like they can do it. Like, I guess Danielle was saying introverts. So what would you say is like one small actionable step that they could take like now to become, more empowered to share what their story is in a scary, if they're in a scary place, like they don't want to say it because they feel timid and they feel like nobody's going to hear them, nobody's going to listen.
It's true. I wish they could see me in my journey, because I mess up. I stumble over my words more than probably anyone else I know. I've done 78 takes of something, 78. And so the thing is, I finally overcame where I'm never going to feel 100% confident, but I do have courage. And so I feel like if I can be courageous and just step out into it, then the courage or the confidence will come. So the more you exercise courage, the confidence will come. You can't wait for the confidence to show up to have the courage to do it. You have to have enough courage to do it. And then the confidence will come in. And so I found that really helps me. So if I'm not feeling confident about something, I'll say, but do I have courage?
Well, I know one thing that helps me though is having a +1. That's what I always tell Danielle. I'm always like, okay, I'm going to be a +1, or I need a +1, because I say networking for me still is very mixed. I feel like I am feeling like I always feel like the little kid because I'm not even 5 foot tall. So I always feel like the small one. So it's, it makes me feel better and more comfortable if I'm, tag teaming with somebody, because then it doesn't feel so nerve wracking. I thought like during COVID, when we did all the, everyone was on Zoom and I thought, oh, I'm so ready. And when I go back out there, I'll be ready. No,
Yeah.
Not really. That's not always the case. But even in this case, it would be nice, I think, for people to start out in a space like this, like on your podcast or something. That's like a nice, easy step, I think, for some people maybe to take.
Oh, that's so true. That is so true. That's so true, because after the pandemic, I went to my first networking. I scheduled it, I bought the ticket. And then I did that. I called someone who was an acquaintance. They were barely a friend, but I wanted to get to know them better. They were a leader of a different network. And it turned out, so she came and now we're friends. Right. And so even though I didn't have someone specific that I knew well that could go to that, I kind of reached out to someone, and then it worked out for her, worked out for me, worked out for everybody. And just having that boldness and courage to reach out to someone, even to go someone else who's going alone, and to be able to, that's a really good point. Yep. If you can find someone to go with, that can really help the pressure of showing up. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing too is to be bold enough to take the leap even when you feel afraid. When I turned 50, I went skydiving, and I had never been skydiving before. So this was a brand new thing for me. And so, we went up in the plane. I was doing fine because I chose to do this for my 50th birthday. I was doing fine all the way up until the door opened and people started rolling out of the plane and they were jumping out. You don't usually see that on a plane, right? Pardon me. And then it was our turn. We nudged towards the door. And then with skydiving, you have to stand on the outside of the plane on a little step. And the view was terrifying. It was, I could see the horizon. It was terrifying. I was terrified in that moment. But then we took the leap and you take a certain position. And I don't know if you know this, but after 3 to 5 seconds or so, it just feels like you're flying and floating. And it's magical. Then the view became spectacular, and I enjoyed the view all the way down, and I landed safely. And it's one of the most amazing things I've ever done in my life. But I like to remember now, since then, the most fearful part was right before the leap. And if we can just take that leap, the view is just so beautiful on the other side of that bold leap.
I think that is so beautiful. And I don't think I will ever be that brave, but I really appreciate it. I want to be that brave. I have it, as a plan for much later in life. I got to wait till my kids are grown and then I can do all the skydiving I want to. But I think just kind of a couple of things that you said, I took a couple notes. About things kind of being the catalyst for things to happen. So one of the things, sorry, you might hear a baby in the back. One of the things you mentioned kind of at the beginning when telling your story was kind of how the story of your husband's accident, it turned like tragedy into triumph, essentially. So that was kind of the push that you needed. Like, obviously we hate for terrible things to happen, but I'm glad that he's safe and things are good now. But it always seems that, especially with entrepreneurs, especially with women and having success, that there's always some catalyst, there's always some kind of major life event that pushes us into doing the things that we need to do, whether we want to or not. And just kind of like you mentioned with the skydiving, like you wanted to do it. Like, everything sounds like a good idea until right when you have to jump. And I feel a lot of us struggle with that, like with business ideas, with, branching off on your own, that it seems like a really good idea. And we're like all for it until it's time to like pull the trigger to execute it. That's when it then becomes kind of something that's a little scary and you're like, okay, wait a minute, what am I doing? And we tend to want to back out at that point. So I love the fact that you're kind of just like, once we get over that little hump and that little bit of fear, you don't have to not be afraid, but you just have to do it. So I love that you had that message. And those two very extreme examples, I think, are just a really good way of letting people know that, starting your business is not as big of a hill as it can seem sometimes. But in that same vein, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about the Rise, Reach, Results roadmap, and if you can explain a little bit more about that. If you can break down one element of the roadmap in a relatable way, just for someone who may be stuck or someone who's afraid to jump or take that leap, or they're unsure of how to elevate their impact, kind of what is the best advice you would give them, or detail an experience of how they can uplift themselves in their journey or take that leap, essentially?
Oh, that's a really good question. I've done some training for a government-funded entrepreneurial program in my town here. And one of the most common things is people will ask, Jennifer, just tell me a business that's going to make money, right? But you need to do something that you're passionate about. You need to do something that lights you up and that just sets your spirit on fire, that you want to get out of bed in the morning and do that, right? I can tell from Danielle, from your background and your whole vibe and everything you got going on in the opening, that it is your life and your passion, right? And for all of you to show up like this is your passion and your purpose. So to actually put your time into stuff and bring those passions and purpose to the forefront, like I was saying in my story, where why did I work for 20 years, just hustling for 20 years for what? Literally, I didn't move an inch. I was just moved towards more hustling. And so the main thing is to really identify that purpose. And then how can your purpose serve the people around you, your community, your world around you? And that becomes your purpose. When you release your passion into the world, it becomes your purpose. And the world needs your purpose. The world needs your gifts. And so you may be surprised, instead of hustling towards something you don't even want or you don't even know, why not give your own gifts, your own passion a shot? Give yourself a vote. Give yourself the vote of confidence to go out and do those things, because why not? What are you working towards otherwise? Someone else's dream? Why not give your own dream a shot?
Thank you so much. That was a really good nudge, maybe even a nudge for myself as well, but a good nudge for everybody to just take the leap. And like you said, I love the mentality of just betting on yourself and really just, we know that we have dreams and passions, and who's better to, execute those things than yourself. And like you said, 20 years of hustle for what? To be burnt out, to be tired. And then now you look like you're thriving, you're glowing, you're living your best life, and it's because you bet on yourself and you took the chance. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh, thank you. Yes. It's such a better, it feels better. It feels like I'm living. It feels more alive. It feels like I'm living for the people around me too, because I was always hustling before, trying to help the people around me. But now it feels like living my own passion and purpose is actually helping the people around me more than when I was hustling towards something I didn't even know what. Why was I doing that? Right. And I think we can all fall into that trap. And so the secret is to really know what you really want to do. You have to spend some time and really dig deep. It's not what your parents want. It's not necessarily what your kids want you to do. It's not what your spouse wants you to do. What's inside your heart? What's burning there? And how can you get that out into the world and serve the world with it? Because there will be some kind of way that I've seen people turn hobbies into a business. So what I did was when I had that meeting, that was so encouraging to me that other people showed up. And that is another thing too, that really helped me I gave myself a month from that point to go from my full-time job and coincidentally, I was laid off at that time from a nonprofit that I was working for. And I gave myself a month, instead of looking for another job immediately, to do my own business. And I said, why don't I just give myself a shot? And guess what? I did it. That was in 2012. I haven't worked for anyone since. I've been my own business owner ever since. And so if I can do it, and you guys can take a look back at all my material, I stumble over words. I am not perfect. I am not polished, but I show up and I do it. And I work my passions. I don't work other people's dreams. I'm working towards my own dreams to help, and I help people around me to do that. So that's Women Podcasters Network came out of that because I just had a passion. So when my husband's situation happened, we started a podcast together, and then I started my own podcast for women in podcasting, and then it helps. It's helping people, and that's such a thrill to me. That is the biggest thrill of my life, and so I've all the stuff I know how to monetize things. And so one of the things I love helping people is how to monetize their story and their message. And so the thing is, I keep it as low cost as possible for women podcasters, because my vision and my purpose and my mission is really to elevate other women's voices globally and in the podcasting industry. And so I keep everything low cost. So the awards are the lowest cost in the industry for awards, because to have an award it's not just about the award. It's about engaging your audience. It's about an opportunity to collaborate and to get your message out there and to get more visibility and to gain authority in your expertise. And so I created it to be like that. And I put it as low cost as possible in the industry so that there's no financial barrier for people to have that opportunity.
And I love this. Also, as a fellow shooter sister, I understand what that feels like, to jump out of a plane and not know what is going to happen. So, and this was before kids, before I could, before that. So I really understand and relate the leap, the fall, the feels, the feints, and the grounding that happens at the end. And I really, really relate to that so much. Shout out to you always for always being considerate and knowledgeable of needs, because I feel like as women in the podcasting industry, it's hard for us to find our footing when it comes to financially being placent, especially in the areas of awards. Thank you for always being that clutch, because we've done it. MTG has applied for International Women's Podcasting Awards. We've applied for Black Pod Awards. We've applied in all these other areas where the cost is incremental. We've applied for a Webby this year. This is all kinds of amazing things that we love being able to do, but that does not come at any pretty penny cost. And so I love the fact that the Women in Podcasting Awards has always been a safe place for women to really kind of invest in themselves and take a leap of faith to share their story, to embody a lot of those trust and falls that we talk about a lot on this episode. So I just always thank you for being that pillar for us, because that's really important that women see that we have that representation for ourselves.
Oh, thank you so much. That means so much to me to hear you say that, and to connect with you in this way. And I just love that. Thanks for that feedback.
Absolutely. I'm in the group. I'm in the DMs. So when we talk about women in podcasting, I'm really referring to this specific niche of women within the Facebook group. It is amazing. I absolutely love it. I've been there for years. I've watched Jennifer do lives. I've watched Jennifer host these awards in different spaces. Our very common friend, my podcast mentor, Jennifer Longworth, hey Jennifer, Bourbon Barrel Podcasting, is a very close and dominant friend of mine. We don't live far. We're in the same space. And so it's really cool to be able to see other women thrive well and put themselves in this atmosphere where we're constantly cheering and encouraging each other. And Jennifer has fostered this community from day one into making that a number one priority. We're not just here for ourselves, we're here for each other. And so I really love that community so much. And I've fostered and grown so much from being engaged in that group. That kind of leads me to a little bit more of my question as we kind of talk about things that create collaboration. Many in the MTG audience, they're creatives and they're entrepreneurs, often working independently. How can they cultivate a sense of community and collaboration in their own spheres, even if they don't have a formal quote unquote club or quote unquote network? What are some small intentional acts of collaboration that can lead to significant uplift?
I love that. Yeah. Well, of course, the number one thing is a podcast. I think everybody can build a community around their podcast, and every community out there could start a podcast. If you think of all the community groups out there, they could all have a podcast, right? And that's a great way to reach out to new people. But that is a bit more of an advanced one, of course. Simple things are just, connecting with people through DMs. Building an email list is the number one community thing that I do, is creating and building lead magnets, and then building my list through that by offering gifts. So I'll offer things that help people, and people will join my list and then become part of the community.
Yeah, I cannot even emphasize that enough. Email lists. I think that's been a really big help for us. Being more interactive in some areas, specifically around engaging content like Reels, has been a complete, game changer for a lot of people who are unfamiliar with using more short form video content. I just really am always impressed and always encouraged by the information and the education that you share within the group. So this is very helpful. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. You guys are pros. You guys are the best example of what this is all about. How you've created this podcast together.
It is. Our story is really cool. I love it because, again, we are kind of spread out. Priscilla's in Ohio, but closer to the southern Ohio. And then we have Cicely and I in the same space. And I really and we had one other originally. But how this all happened was just literally having conversations. Hey, I think you'd be a really good fit for this. I'm trying to build something. Would you be interested in casually having conversations? And so when I spoke to Cicely about it, it was like a no-brainer because we're both blabbermouths and we know talking about the things that we are passionate about. So I was like, yeah, this was great. This is going to work out wonderful. But then we had a guest on called Ask Reach, and it was Priscilla, and she was the guest. And we just kept vibing so well past that episode, just as moms and as friends, as creative designers. And I was like, you know what? I think you would be a really good fit for bringing this on. And so it was it was such a cool transfer.
Jennifer, I had not met Cicely and Danielle since, maybe 2 years ago. I told them, I said, I'm going to smell you guys for a while. I was crying. Yeah.
Lots of core memories are made. Okay. Lots of core memories.
Yeah. Which that kind of leads me actually into something I wanted to kind of jump back on what you were saying about, I love the stumbles because who wants to walk a straight line, right? maybe if you're doing like a sobriety test or something. But I was wondering, when you're, like, we do stumble, everybody stumbles, but what do you do for yourself? Like if you're, having to pick yourself up.
Yeah. Well, probably the days and hours after where I used to kick myself for 3 days, it's reduced. It gets shorter and shorter. And so really it's just practice. You have to get out there, you have to try it, have the courage to try it, and that will go away eventually, or get less at least. And just to be bold enough, you don't have to be polished to show up, is what I found out. You just need to be you to show up, because there is nobody else like you. I know it sounds like a cliche, but it really is so true, and helps me the most, is that people do want to hear what I have to say. People want to hear what each of you have to say. Each of you can help others with your story. And so just to know that and carry that. And when I stumble, I just think, well, everybody stumbles. Oh, well, get over it, move on. Nobody else noticed it, but you probably, but me probably. Just keep going. Nobody cares that you tripped over that word. And people really don't. People want to hear you and your story. And so you don't need to be polished. You just need to be you to show up. Yeah, so that's what I try to help people with. And in the Women Podcasters Network, I provide lots of tools to help people with these things, all the things I wish I had when I started podcasting, right? Including a whole package about building confidence. And I don't do that because I'm an expert or perfect at confidence. I do it because here's all the things we struggle with. And let's take a look at this together. And how can we here's some tools that help me, maybe they'll help you, and that kind of thing. So I provide that in the Women Podcasters Network. And I also provided that to everybody in the Women Podcasters Awards. I included that. So I included some tools. It's not just about putting your nomination in. I give people a whole toolkit to help them to learn how to engage with their audience, to give them images and swipe copy and different things to be able to connect with their audience, so that if they are lacking confidence or don't know what to do, I give them step-by-step all kinds of ideas and things they can do to take the awards opportunity and just the podcasting opportunity in general, and to maximize it and to really get it out there. So one of the things is, I love your guys' whole show. You've got everything, a lot of pieces. A lot of podcasters, they have a message and they start the podcasting, but then they don't have, there's a lot of pieces missing. And so they just need help putting all that together. For example, show notes, having a lead magnet in there, having a transcript, having the video and the audio at the top, and just showing them step by step. I have a show notes map, for example, just all kinds of tools that people don't really realize. But once you get them in place, every little inch towards that mile can help with the confidence and with the momentum of getting your message out there.
I love this, Jennifer. This is so helpful. I really do love the fact that you not only leave us good nuggets and wisdom, but you kind of let it sit. Like, we marinate in this. Okay, we're getting close to Derby time, so we can talk about that. It's marinating. Okay, it's like a little mint julep. I love the fact that you say you don't have to be polished to show up. You just need to be you. And I feel like that needs to be said over and over again to so many minorities, both men and women, who feel like I can't fit in that spot because I'm not, quote unquote, there yet, or I'm not polished enough in this area. And so I'm so thankful that you say that, because that is so needed. So yeah, thank you. I'll be sipping on that julep for a little while. I need to say these words to myself. I don't have to be polished. I just need to show up. I just need to be. And that is something that I do share a lot with my personal staff. We as women, we as minorities are already winning just by breathing. That is something that I share all the time. And so I'm hoping that anyone in the air traffic space is listening to that right now as we put that out into the world. But Jennifer, this is very helpful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. It feels really good to connect with people like this who see the depth of the change that can happen, that see the depth of how we can transform lives with this medium. It's just very exciting. And have you guys ever been to PodFest or to any of the PodFest? Yeah, you've been?
I've spoken at PodFest.
Oh, good.
In very early years, so it's been really cool. My goal is to get the rest of the team involved so everyone can go to PodFest, experience that. It's really cool.
It's a beautiful community. The podcasting community is the most beautiful community I've ever been involved in. And then to show up at Podfest is so fun. So anyone who doesn't know what happens in Orlando every January, I think now. When I went, it was in June, and I led the Women in Podcasting track in 2022. And so that was so much fun. But to meet you guys like this and then to meet in person is really exciting. So maybe we'll meet at a conference someday soon.
I would love that. I actually saw the speaker announcement. They're looking for, people to be a speaker. So I have thought very rigorously about whether or not I want to do that this year or not. But I think it's super cool that they continue to have this really strong advocacy part and component to Podfest. It's one of my favorite reasons why I'm so encouraged and continue to want to follow it a lot. And you actually just recently mentioned about how is it Pod News is making a really strong connection with women, and they're currently a sponsor of Women in Podcasting Awards. So I'm just kind of curious, like, how does that collaboration work well for you, and how Pod News got involved with that?
Oh, yeah. Well, last year was our inaugural year for the awards. The network's been going for a few years, but the awards, the first year was last year, and we had 400 nominees and 15,000 votes, which was really exciting for the first year. But the most exciting part for everybody was that so many people from the podcasting industry came on board, including Pod News, which is the largest news source, I guess, for podcasting in the world. And they came on as a sponsor, one of the first. They've been so supportive and so helpful. And I think that article, I think they had just published that article that was a study from someone else, that women's listenership over the whole industry, over all of podcasting, has tripled. So that's exciting. That's really exciting. But they do a large part of that for sure. So yeah, so they came on, and then a bunch of other people from the podcasting industry came and brought their support. And so that was really exciting for everybody involved, because then they get the message out to their hundreds of thousands or millions of viewership about the awards. And then when people come to the site, they see all the nominees, right? So they get to be introduced to all the nominees, which is really great.
Exploring community and building collaboration. So you're known for building thriving collaborative communities. Is there a secret sauce? Like, can you share a vulnerable moment where building community felt challenging, and what did you learn from that experience?
That's a really good question. Yeah. So let me think for a second. The definitely during the thing that happened in 2020, I won't say the word, but that whole situation definitely was challenging for networking, right? And it was challenging for events. So I sold my network about a year and a half before that, because my whole business, because I'd built that business network, was mostly events, live in-person events. And so I moved my whole business online, and then learned how to build communities online. So that was challenging, definitely, but I'm thrilled that I did it, because now I can have both the best of both worlds, right? I can have these online communities and go out and meet people at conferences and things like that whenever I can or want to. And so, yeah, I think community is so important, whether you're online or meeting live in person. You need to be able to connect with people and really, have that deep connection. Not just, we can all have thousands of acquaintances, but when you actually get to meet someone, have a dinner with them, have lunch with them, meet in a networking situation where you can really connect with people deeply in this kind of conversation, where we get to know each other a little more, is just so enriching to me. It just helps our life so much. My husband and I have found out, especially during his recovery, it was such an important part of him recovering, was being able to meet, have community, tell story. And that's what we love about podcasting. So we have a podcast together, and then the Women in Podcasting show. And so, I just really love it that it worked out. I'm glad I was able to transfer those skills from offline, live in person all the time, to online with some live in person situations. Yeah. So it's easier now more than ever to do this kind of stuff. And it's just a matter of, it is a lot, but it's just take one little step at a time. So definitely the number one tool, I probably use 100 tools in a month, like a lot of us these days. The number one tool still is email. It's still building that email list, because when people can get on your list, when you can give them something that's a solution, then you're going to be able to have an opportunity to build that deeper relationship with them, to be able to connect with them in a deeper level and reach out to them more often and build a loyal listenership through that email list. And so you don't have to have dozens of lead magnets like I do. I love creating lead magnets and creating different solutions for people. And especially in the podcasting, you've got the podcaster side of it, but then you've got the guest side of it. So one of my gifts is how to land more guest gigs on podcasts, right? And so you've got all those different sides in podcasting, but you don't need lots of lead magnets. Just one really good lead magnet that attracts your ideal audience and provides them some kind of solution, something free. It doesn't have to be huge. It could be a 1 or 2 page. Some of the most effective lead magnets I've seen are a 1 or 2 page worksheet that has compelling questions and exercises that people need. So building an email list with lead magnets is my number one thing. And then, of course, you want to post your episodes on social media and things like that. But all of those things combined don't even come close to the performance and results of email marketing.
Sorry, I was trying to wait till he stopped laughing. He was cracking up about something. So I love that, we can talk about achievements and things that we've all achieved. And it's always amazing to get accolades and to get recognition for the wonderful work that you do. And because you've achieved significant recognition, including Business Podcast of the Year award, which is amazing. Even though those are really awesome, what is something that you can say is kind of a moment of a personal uplift that maybe didn't come with the trophy or didn't come with that larger recognition, but that to you was personal, but that felt equally as significant or equally as fulfilling as those awards?
I think being on your show and hearing all your kind words is the most recent one. I mean, when this happens for me, it really is the most precious thing, because I work to help collaborations and help people connect. And it's just so meaningful to me to be able to hear that things are working and to hear what other people are doing to connect and about connection opportunities. It really is exciting for me to hear this kind of stuff and just have this as part of my life. I mean, isn't this an amazing privilege and pleasure to be able to do this? It's incredible. I might want to come back. You guys are really cool. I like this whole thing.
We're vibe. We're the tribe with the vibe. Exactly.
Come back. What are you doing next week? Just kidding.
Yeah, I love this. You guys are I keep saying guys, sorry. You women are doing an amazing job, and I love what you're doing. And I hope people vote for you in the Women Podcasters Awards because not everybody has the quality and the vibe of the show that you have. It's very unique. And I'm on a lot of shows, and just everything that you bring is very unique. I really love the conversations that you have are deeper than a lot of the podcasts that I listen to. And of course, all of them are amazing, but I really, really appreciate and love what you're all doing here.
Always. Thank you. Fangirl blushing. My cheeks are hurting now. Thank you. Women who podcast, right? We're all the things. We're moms. We're podcasting. We're dishwashers. On weekends, we're laundry makers. We're laundromats. So, I mean, we do all the things. And I think it's really cool that we can reflect that space here behind a mic while talking about important things that matter to us and matter to our audience and our followers. So our last question, I guess, is where can listeners go to learn more about your work, connect with you, and perhaps even participate in future events that you host?
Yeah, well, I'm taken by the authenticity right now I love what you said about having your child here is just, this is where podcast is going. This is where, do you see how it's becoming a community? You have a community here. You're not just broadcasting information. Do you know what I mean? It's way beyond that. I love it. I love this. Anyways, yeah, so you can find me at womenpodcasters.com. That's where you can find the Women Podcasters Awards, the Women Podcasters Network, and the Women in Podcasting show at Women Podcasters with an S, plural, womenpodcasters.com. And we have some gifts. If you go to womenpodcasters.com/gifts, you can find some gifts there for, like I was saying, about getting gigs as a guest on podcasts or helping you with your podcast. We've got some gifts over there for podcasters.
I love your gifts. I have received so many. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I absolutely love this time that we've got to have with you today. We're actually going to flash forward into our flash questionnaire where we randomly ask you a question and you give us the first thing that comes into your brain. Are you ready?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't know there was going to be a test.
It's fun. It's a fun test, I promise.
Okay. So the first question is, tell us about a project that went hilariously wrong. What happened and what did you learn from it?
Oh my goodness. I have a doozy for you. Okay. Okay. I've never told this on a podcast. You want to hear it?
We won't tell anybody.
It's going to get out there now. I don't know what's going to happen, but okay. So before I was in this industry, I would do some social media training, and I spoke at a conference, about social media, encouraging. This was back when social media was new and business owners were like, what do I do with this? And so I did a training at a trade show, and someone came up and said, would you do a private session for us and our person that we know? And so, and this other third person that will come and join us. I said, sure. Tell me where and when. Now, I was at a very bad place in life. I was still managing the whole situation with my husband, where he had been in this accident. I was taking care of him. I was beyond exhausted, right? So I showed up at this place, and I'm standing there. The two women I met were there, but there was another woman standing beside me, and I said, oh, hi, you look so familiar. Have we met before? It turned out to be someone very famous, but I did not realize it the entire 3-hour session. I didn't realize it until I took a picture of everyone at the end and then looked back at the picture about a year later and pieced it together. And this was, if I told you the name, you would know it. It was a famous person. And I was so out of it. It just shows you in life how you can be so disconnected to letting opportunities in and so grinding and hustling that you miss the opportunities that are right in front of you. So I'll tell you guys off air who it was, but it's one of those things where I just kick myself, like, what in the world? But I just look at myself going, I was in a horrible space and state in life, So anyways, it'd probably be better if I said the name, but I'm not going to. I'll tell you afterwards offline.
Okay.
It's just embarrassing, right?
Yeah. Well, I even know people I don't even sometimes I think I've it's almost like when you forget somebody's name.
Yeah.
And then you have to do the introduction and you're hoping the person speaks first. So sometimes if I'm doing that +1, I told you earlier, hey, go introduce yourself first before I get the name right.
Yeah.
So
the whole session.
Y'all,
I taught social media to these 3 people, and one of them was super, and I didn't realize the entire time. It was insane.
Oh my goodness. I was going to say, I followed this lady I thought was literally my mom in Kroger at the age of 38 and really came up to her and almost grabbed her and gave her a big hug, like, hey mom. And it wasn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's real life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's your secret source of inspiration when you're feeling creatively drained? And where do you go, or what do you do to recharge besides jumping out of planes?
Yeah. You know what I do? I do something called neurographic drawing. It's a type of art that you can do. And so I do them postcard size so that I can complete one in one sitting. So it's a special type of graphics, and it's almost like you're meditating. It's a type of meditation. It gives your brain a break. It gives your brain a rest while you're doing this type of drawing. So if you look it up, it's hard to describe. You'd have to look up. There's tutorials. Yep. But you can see behind me. So let me just move my mic for a sec. Okay. So what that is my husband and I's vision board. Okay. But this time, and we've done vision boards before. The last time we moved, we found one of our old vision boards and all the stuff had come true. So we were so excited. And so now we downsized and we moved into this apartment and we created a new vision board. But what we did this time was instead of getting pictures from magazines and stuff, we drew each one with a neurographic drawing. And then hung it on the wall so that will remind us of the things that has more of an emotional connection to each of the things that we desire on the vision board. So anyway, if you look up neurographic drawing, it's amazing. I cannot believe how much it's helped my brain. It gives my brain a rest even more than meditating.
Okay, so if you were stranded on a desert island, like I always like to tell the girls, I also call it a dessert island if you want to do that instead, and could only bring 3 tools, digital or physical, what would they be and why?
Well, you got to have music. Music goes beyond did you know the music's the only thing that's the same in our physical world as it is in the quantum field? So I love music, something for music. My phone, I guess that could have music on it too, but my phone with music, I guess if you're on a desert island, you want a phone. If it works, I don't know. And I don't know, a first aid kit?
If you could travel back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, just relax. It's all going to work out.
Thank you. Oh, was that advice for me also? Yes. So what's the most unusual or unexpected place you'd love to create work? Like beyond a canvas, beyond a screen?
One of my favorite places I've been in recent years was when I went to Podfest. We stayed at the Hilton and it had a lazy river that was like heaven. It was it was so amazing. I've been on lazy rivers before. I don't know what it was about this one, but it was just, I want to go there and just stay there in the lazy river in the Hilton in Orlando. Whenever I go to Florida, it's so good for my body. My whole body works better and feels better. I don't know if it's the warmth or the humidity or what, but wow, I feel like a new person when I go to Florida. I would love to move to Florida.
There's a theory. Of course, we love theories. There is a theory about the magnetic and magnesium pull of the waves closer to land that actually creates a sense of calmness, which is why you see a lot of magnesium supplements bringing calmness to our bodies out on the interwebs. So that I really believe like that is something that works for me as well. Whenever I'm closer to water or salt water or seawater, anyway in that fashion, I can feel the magnesium and the magnetic pull just kind of waxing and waning enough to kind of create a calmness within my body. So I personally relate to that story.
I just wanted to say thank you. I mean, I like to connect with our guests like afterwards and stuff because I like to talk a lot more than what I have time for here. So get ready. I'm coming for you, Jennifer.
I'm excited. That's awesome. This has been a good time. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much. I'm kind of speaking between crying babies and trying to get it out really quick. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your insights. And it was definitely a pleasure. I'm going back on mute now.
Obviously, Jennifer, this has been a blessing on my end. Like, I absolutely love it. I love the fact that I get to be a little bit closer to you than usual. And I love that proximity. And I'm just so thankful that you're able to provide wisdom and support, education in these spaces where this is a virtual space for women in tech and minorities across the board. And we just want to keep echoing that same sentiment of just being yourself as much as possible in the spaces that you walk into. So I guess we want to thank everybody for tuning in to the More Than Graphics podcast. For exclusive emails and comprehensive episode details, you want to visit us at mtgthepodcast.com. Don't forget to connect with us on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook by following hashtag MTGThePodcast. And until we meet again, we're reminding you that you are more than the work you produce. You're more than your name badge, and you are most definitely more than graphics. We'll catch you next time. This tribe with a vibe needs you. Share MTG on social media, on your lunch break with peers, or send an episode to your techie bestie. This podcast is produced by Octane Design Studios. Catch you next time.